All right, coming in at number 41 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings, it's Anton Wahlberg from Malmo in the Swedish league. He played primarily in the J20 league, but he showed some raw skill that has given a high upside projection that teams are going to fall in love with.
Yeah, this kid is certainly talented. Wahlberg, he spent some time in the SHL, which, if you guys follow along, we really highlight because it's a tough thing to do as a young player. He had 4 points in 17 SHL games, but in the J20, where he spent most of his time, 32 games, 14 goals, 13 assists for 27 points. So pretty good pace there. What I really liked about Wahlberg, Ross, is he really attacks on the forecheck. Like, I saw 3 or 4 highlights of him. The defenseman is coming out his own end, the opponent's defenseman, kind of lackadaisical, checking for plays, who's open. Oh, there's a line change. I'll just kind of hang out for a bit. And boom, Wahlberg is on his case, hounding him for that puck. And more often than not, he steals it from them. And then he's got himself a mini breakaway. And then he's even got the hands to make something of that breakaway and make a goalie look silly with some really nice dekes in tight. So I think Anton Wahlberg is going to be one of those guys that coaches are going to love him because he's an aggressive forechecker that creates something out of nothing plays.
Listed as a centerman right now, left shot. I could see him as a winger at the NHL level if and when he does make the jump there. 6'3", 194 right now. And Craig Button has him as a first-round talent, 29th on Craig Button's list. Corey Pronman has him at 33. Chris Peters at 42. Elite prospects at 60. And Scott Wheeler all the way down at 70, the lowest on this list. And based on the way I know Wheeler and elite prospects go with it, I think it's safe to assume skating might be something that he needs to work on to make it to the next level.
I didn't think his skating was that bad, and I'm just looking to see what they gave him skating. They gave him a 5 skating, so average skating. Average. Yeah. So I thought his straight line speed, like when I mentioned, when he's really making an effort to pressure the opponent's defender, I thought he did a great job, and he's a good net front presence as well. Like, he did a really good job in the SHL highlights I saw of him, of just making it a pain for defensemen to try to box him out. And what you're doing when you're doing that as well is you're distracting the goalies. Like, a goalie trying to see a shot from the point when there's 2 guys in front of him just having an absolute battle, it's hard to stay focused, and you got to decide, do I look to the right of them? Do I look to the left? Do I look under? Do I look over? And then by the time you're figuring out as a goalie where you're going to look to see the shot, it might already be past you. And I thought Wahlberg did a good job of getting a stick on it and tipping point shots in as well. So I think when you got a guy that can attack on the forecheck and is a good net front presence, there's some good skills there that NHL scouts will like.
He's also a very late birthday, July 4th. So he's got a ton of room to grow, still 17 years old, and he's signed in the SHL for another season. I think he should stay over probably an extra year after that. Was good at the World under 18s with 6 points in 7 games. Got kicked out of the game against Canada, which it just seemed like a gong show of a game. I know every time we pull it up, I think Sandin Pellikka got tossed from that game and a few others, but he was a big part of that Sweden game, that 8-0 win. They routed Canada. He had 3 points there. And the one thing I want to see a little less of is there's a few games where he's got 6 penalty minutes, which 3 minor penalties in a game. I'd like to kind of stay away from that if you're looking at a guy who projects to be probably a bottom 6 forward at the National Hockey League level. But still, there's so much skill. And I like what Chris Peters said about him, saying in multiple viewings this season, my eyes just kept gravitating towards him because he just has good puck touch, makes plays. But Jimmy Hamlin with Elite Prospect says there's always good moments with Wahlberg, but the all-around pattern is that he has trouble reading time and space, which to me is something that a good coach can be able to fix.
Yeah, and that's interesting, Ross, because that's going to be even more difficult, or I shouldn't say more difficult, but he's going to have to adjust even more when he comes to North America, right? If he's already having trouble making those reads on big ice, how's that going to affect him on a smaller ice surface?
Totally, and that's why the projection for him is still a bit fuzzy. I think a project rather than a projectable is where he's at, because you're going to need to spend time with him, with skills coaches. And I think you just see the tools, right? You see all the tools necessary, the size, the frame, the explosiveness, and the ability that he's fearless to take the puck to the middle of the ice and cut to the net and do all these things that skill players do. So I know that he's got a lot of skill. He lit up his own age group in Sweden. I want to see him do it at the SHL level for probably 2, if not 3 years, come over to the AHL, play a year or 2 in the American Hockey League, and then jump up. So it's going to be a long path, I think, but a very high upside swing. Maybe a Nashville second round pick, potentially, something like that. I know they've got a couple, right? They've got Winnipeg's for the Nino Niederreiter deal as well. This could be one of those high upside picks that a team just drools over early in the second round. But if he goes past 40, like where we have him at 41, this is definitely a home run swing type pick.
Yeah, maybe. It depends on how scouts look at it, Ross. I've got him going in the middle of the second round here. I don't know. For me, there's just nothing that really pops out about Anton Wahlberg. I got him at 3.5 stars. I think he's gonna be a nice prospect, but he doesn't jump off the page for me.
Yeah, it's a bit of a lack of vision. Decision making is, but again, that's why I'm still high on him. Is those are things that can be coachable. Whereas the compete, that's not coachable. Above average for sure for him, if not high end, and just some other tools that I'm really drawn to. So I like him a little bit more than you. And when we do our head-to-head comparisons of
I'm excited for that
at the end of it, so stay tuned for that. It's going to get contentious here as we lead up to the National Hockey League draft. But Anton Wahlberg from Malmo comes in at 41. Little trivia. We'll leave it for the listeners, though. Who's the last player the Senators drafted out of Malmo, Sweden?
Yeah, we already did this off air, so I don't want to fake a trivia question here. I do know the answer, but it's an interesting one.
We gave enough time, so you can act smart and say it.
No, I'm not going to say it. It's going to be a surprise.
You're just not going to say it? Well, nope. How about who's the first player they drafted out of Malmo then?
Ooh.
No, never played a game in the NHL. There's no way you get it.
Okay, I was going to say no chance.
Johan Bjork was never expected. Eric Engstrand, the only member of the 2020 draft who did not sign a contract, was drafted out of Malmo, but a couple of years earlier. So that is Anton Wahlberg coming in at 41 on the Locked On Senators NHL Draft Rankings. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.